So my grand plan for this morning was to change my tyres on my gravel bike and talk to you about lots of things. But I can't because I've just discovered the torque wrench is in the car and the car is not here. And it's not going to be here until this evening. So this isn't happening today, is it? So the torque wrench wasn't in the car, it was behind the kitchen door because that's where it also temporarily lives. Basically, every single time we need to use the torque wrench, we go on like this little torque wrench hunting trip because it obviously lives in the garage, but it likes to go on holiday quite often to the hallway, kitchen, under the bed, like literally wherever, I don't even know. We use it quite often, so it gets quite annoying. We should really be much more disciplined about putting it away, but hey ho. Today I'm going to be changing my gravel tyres to my road tyres because it's August the 30th, which is too early to be doing this. But like I don't have an infinite amount of bikes, unfortunately. So I turn my gravel bike into a road/triathlon bike, which is kind of annoying because I like to have gravel tyres on it when in the summer because it's a nice time to be riding the gravel around here. And just like Dartmoor lanes, which are pretty rough. So they're really nice tyres to have. But equally, summer is racing season. I haven't really done many. In fact, I've only actually done 2 races this year on my bike. But I have one in a month, in 5 weeks. And so I need to have the tyres on for that, although obviously that's still ages away. But primarily, I need to be back on Zwift. So I need to put this bike back on the turbo trainer. And like, I have like that kind of, it's like a tyre, but it's a specific turbo trainer tyre to protect your road tyres so that you wouldn't obviously be using those. But like, who's got the time to be changing the tyres all the time? Like, I want to take this bike right off the trainer and then cycle it to somewhere else or go on a Sunday bike ride or whatever. So I know you can obviously cycle using the trainer tyre, but I don't think it's very good for it. And so, I don't know, it's just too hard. I just put my road tyres on and just use that on the turbo trainer and on the road and in events, which is a shame because I really love riding on my gravel tyres. But can't have it both ways, and I'm way too lazy to be changing my tyres over and too poor to be changing my wheels over. Another part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, like talking about the things I want to talk about, but while I'm changing my tyres, is because I think a lot of people don't cycle or don't get into cycling or don't get into racing or don't do anything like that because they don't know what they're doing mechanically, and especially women. I just think it's a real problem, and we kind of assume that cyclists, if they're cyclists, they must know what they're doing. But I'm going to let you in on a secret. I've been cycling for like 30 years. Like my entire life, basically. And as a teenager, I used my bike to get around everywhere. Like I cycled to friends' houses, I cycled to the train station, I cycled to absolutely everywhere. Like I didn't get lifts. So I raced as a kid in cyclocross, I cycled everywhere as a teenager, and then in my 20s, like my bike was just a tool for commuting for me, but also like I went on cycling holidays. I mean, like I've cycled a lot, but I know very little about maintaining a bike more than just keeping it clean, oiling the chain. I mean, they're quite simple at the end of the day, but like I don't know anything about adjusting gears particularly, or like dealing with my disc brakes, which are a constant source of stress, especially on my mountain bike because they rub and they don't rub and they do rub and ah. And with the tyres, changing tyres, I'm not kidding. The only time I've changed a tyre, the only time I've done this is on this bike, and I've had this bike since 2019. And I never had to change a tyre in my life, even though I've cycled so much. So I didn't even know how to change a tyre before I entered my first triathlon, and then I needed to change it from gravel tyres to road tyres. So I literally have gone through decades without knowing how to change a tyre. And that sounds really stupid, but here's another secret. I have a superpower. Like, this is an actual superpower, and I'm not superstitious, so I think I can share it. I've never had a puncture. Never. I've never had a puncture. I've never had a puncture. Never had a puncture. As an adult. Maybe I did when I was a child. My parents would have dealt with that. I don't know. I don't remember. But I have never had a puncture. I'm a mountain biker. I'm a roadie. I race. Never had a puncture. So I've never needed to change a tyre, apart from to change like the actual type of tyre. So I've literally changed my tyres twice. I changed them from gravel to road last season, and then I changed them back earlier this summer actually, and now I'm going to change them back. So this is the third time I've ever changed a tyre, like a pair of tyres. So if you if you're afraid of getting into cycling, or you're afraid of the fact that someone might find out that you've never changed a tyre, I mean, hello. Sometimes you just don't need to. And if you don't do it, then you can't remember and you can't learn how to do it. So it's a weird situation I found myself in. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do today, and that's why I'm doing it. And it's going to be hard because A, I haven't done it for a while, and I've only done it twice. And B, I'm doing two things at once, talking to you and changing a tyre, which is, I don't know. So I am using my Lifeline Essential torque wrench. It's great. I need it because my bike has through axles. It doesn't have quick release, which originally made me a bit sad, but I've come to quite like the neatness of through axles. Join me down here on the garden. Oh my god, I was about to say garden floor. On the lawn, on the grass, in my garden. I don't know. On the garden floor, I like it. Okay, so this isn't a how-to video, by the way. I'm not showing you how to change a tyre. I'm just going to be doing it at the same time as talking. Don't lose these. Especially if they're cool and yellow like mine are. Ugh. Okay, tyre levers. Yeah, so this triathlon that I'm doing in 5 weeks is just a small local one, and I've done it before. It's actually the first one I ever did last year. So I know it really well, and it's a pool swim, which I used to, I literally started triathlon last year, and it's evolved so quickly. So pool swims I was really safe with, because I'm really used to swimming in a pool. I'm really used to swimming in the sea as well, but I get really cold, so I don't really like that. But with the pool, I did used to really like it, and since doing Blenheim Triathlon in May this year, Blenheim Palace, lakes are way better because you get to swim in a wetsuit here, anyway, in the UK, and gives you loads of buoyancy, and it's just really nice. And I was a bit afraid of not having a wall to sort of push off every 25 metres, but actually swimming in a wetsuit was far superior. So I really want to do more lake triathlons, but the one I'm doing is going to be in the pool, and then so it'll be fine, it'll be nice. But I was going to do one in 2 weeks' time, which is in a lake. But I wanted to do that because I'm supposed to be doing a marathon in 4 days, but I've had various injuries and stuff, so I haven't been able to train. So I'm not going to do that, obviously, because it's annoying. Marathons are expensive. It's like 45 quid or something. So you don't get a refund for that kind of thing. It's very rare to get a refund for events. So it's kind of annoying that I've wasted that money and wasted the sort of time, because I always like to have a race to aim for, and I was aiming for the marathon even though I couldn't really train very much, so it's kind of a downer. So that was just annoying. So I thought, oh well, I'll just do another triathlon. I'll fit another one in, and because the injury I had, shin splints, it would be there's no way I could run a marathon with it, but it's kind of better now, so a 5k sprint triathlon run would be fine. So I was going to book onto this one, which is in just a couple of weeks' time, because it's in a place I really want to do a triathlon. It's not very far away. It's like an hour and a half from where I live. And I was going to, and you can camp there overnight. It's like another £45 for that triathlon. And then obviously the camping would cost money, and the driving there would cost money. Fuel would cost money. And then, you know, food, whatever. And suddenly it's just kind of like, it's so expensive. And it's hard. It's really hard to justify it. Like, I really like the idea of racing, and I only really started racing in any kind of capacity as an adult last year. And I've done some running races and some multi-sport races like triathlon, duathlon. But the cost of it, even when you're talking about a 10k, you're looking at like £15 for a small 10k. And that really adds up, and especially when you have to get there and things like that. Stuff like half marathons, that's £25, £30. Triathlons, 40, 50, 60, 70. I think Blenheim was 90 maybe. I know it's 110 next year, I think it's 110 next year. I mean, who's got that kind of cash? And it really adds up, because if you want to do, say, you know, I think an ideal amount of triathlons for me, or like multi-sport events for me per year, would be kind of like 4 maybe, because you can have really early ones. Like I did the duathlon in March, and then like triathlons sort of begin in April. So like 4 or 5 a year. And I'm really conflicted between doing like a few, like 4 or 5 sort of localish ones per year, and spending, that's a few £100s right there. Or doing fewer and doing like one sort of like bigger one. So like Blenheim for me was a bigger one, and it's a major event. And it's far away from where I live, like it's a 4-hour drive or something. So obviously that was a lot of fuel, and you're looking at overnight stays then. So that is, you know, a hotel room for a night. Like I'm conflicted between doing that. Like I really want to, like at the end of the day, duathlon or triathlon, you're looking at 3 sports which are fairly cheap to do. Like once you've got your bike, which I'm not saying is cheap, but once you've got a bike and you've got a pair of running shoes and you've got a wetsuit or a swimming costume, they're effectively free. You can run for free, you can cycle for free, and you can swim for free outdoors, or, you know, for a minimal amount in a swimming pool. And it's like a kind of a way of turning these free sports into a very expensive event, and I love those events. I really want to do more of them, but like it's hard for me to justify spending that kind of money on them. Okay. In tube. Out. Okay, if you're not used to changing tyres, this is something to look out for. It's not on all tyres, but it is on a lot. There is an arrow. I don't know that you can see it. Where has it gone? There, can you see it? I don't know, it's somewhere. It's here. Oh God, it's there. It's there. That's an arrow of rotation. So when you put your tyre on, your wheel must rotate the same way that the arrow does. This is really easy to tell with disc brakes, obviously, because I know my disc brake goes on that way, and so my wheel will, my shoulder doesn't go that way. My wheel will roll this way. So I just need to put my tyre on correctly, basically. Yeah, so triathlon's really expensive, so I don't really know what to do about it. Anyway, suffice to say, I didn't enter the one in 2 weeks' time, even though I really want to do it. But I just couldn't face, like, what would turn into a £80 weekend if you take into account camping and fuel. And that's not even thinking about food. And this is a problem, like it stops a lot of people from doing it. And I don't know what the solution is, because obviously these events cost a huge amount of money to put on. This event organiser that organises this one, like I'm pretty sure they are not raking in the profits, because they do struggle with finances, I think. And they put on great events, quite small local events, but really good ones. But they like have put calls out before because events haven't been very well attended, or they haven't sold enough sort of tickets, entries. And so they're like, you know, we might not be able to run this event in future if people don't want to do it, which is fair enough. So like they're not reaping in the profits. Like they're not, the reason why these events are expensive, I don't think is because the event organisers are like, we want all the money. No. But I don't know what the solution is, I guess. I'm just saying that when you see people on Instagram or YouTube or whatever doing triathlon, and then you look into it and you're like, where are they getting the money from? Like, how is this even possible that you could afford to do so many in one year? Like, they're either really dedicated to it, and so they're literally just throwing all of their money and eating beans and rice for the rest of their life out the sport, or, you know, they have way more money than me, which is fine. It is actually hard, and like, I do have to make decisions whether I'm going to do an event or not, based on just like, you know, is it really viable? Like, yes, I do have £45 to spend on a entry fee, but do I want to? And it's really difficult. It's really difficult because that's why you're sort of training to do events in the first place. And like, I'm a cyclist and a runner and a swimmer anyway, so that's why I'm doing triathlon. But I still want to do events, otherwise I'm kind of like, what am I aiming for? Anyway, so I'm not doing that triathlon in 2 weeks' time. I am, however, doing the one in October, which is 5 weeks' time. And that is why I'm changing this tyre. Because I thought, if I'm only going to do one more this season, maybe another duathlon in November, but if I'm only going to do one more triathlon this season, then I should probably like put some effort in, especially after I won my category in the duathlon in March, my category of 8 women between a certain age range, which is just hilarious because like there are so many categories in multi-sport events. Like, I love it because you're like much more likely to kind of rank highly. Anyway, so I thought I'd actually put some effort in and focus on my training, because I haven't really been able to focus on any training recently because of my shin splints for running, and the fact that in summer I just like going out on jollies on my bike. So I've been doing a lot of mountain biking, a lot of off-road stuff that's not really mountain biking, but it's just like riding around, and just like going on road jollies and cycle touring and things like that, which is all well and good, and it certainly keeps you fit, but not race fit. So I need to change these so I can get on Zwift and actually start doing that again. Because I live on Dartmoor, which is a very hilly national park, and it's really hard to train for a flat race because you're just absolutely scuppered by really steep hills all the time, giant potholes, sometimes cows, sometimes horses, sometimes angry drivers who drive down lanes at 60 miles an hour. Zwift is an altogether friendlier place to train race-wise. So my training plan is pretty loose. I don't know how people do this. Train, I mean, not put on tyre. This is getting pretty hard, but... like, I'm gonna take running really easy, and I'm gonna try and train on flat trails, which seems like a bit of a contradictory term. The hills are fine, but obviously you can't really train for speed on hills, because you're hill training and you go really slowly. But I do have some flattish trails around here, so I'm gonna try that. God, tyres make some horrible noises when you're putting them on, and it just sounds so aggressive, but it's fine. Yeah, so flat-ish trails. So that will be running, and I'm going to try and really get down my 5k pace over the next month. I think I'm going to focus on that rather than any distance, which I have been trying to focus on distance and like just sabotaging myself. So I'm going to focus on 5k, flat 5ks. With cycling, I'm going to follow a Zwift training plan, which I don't know which one yet because I haven't looked and I haven't been a Zwift member for the summer. So I'm going to rejoin and then choose a training plan that will basically allow me to get my head down and just like cycle really fast. Because the course is flat. Windy often, but flat. One changed tyre that's taken me, I don't even know, half an hour? Only because I'm talking to you though, I'm not normally this slow. I think for a while, like I've never been scared of having filthy hands. But I think for a while, I was sort of scared of dealing with anything to do with the like cassette and anything like that. I just didn't really know what I was doing and thought, you know, if I mess the chain up or something, it'll all go wrong. Actually, bikes are not only very forgiving, but they are really straightforward when it comes to the main sort of components of them. And I think you only really learn that by doing. Every time I do this, and this is now the 3rd time. Oh, this is easy. Is it? No. Every time I do this, I realise that I don't need to wait for somebody else to do it for me. And this is a real problem. Like, for some reason, like we have this rhetoric that goes in our head, and by we I mean a lot of women, where it's just like, oh, I can't possibly do that. I need to wait for my male partner to come home and help me. I don't think it's like men necessarily know more and know how to do it. It's just I think they're empowered to think that they can do it. That like, well, it's not hard, so I'll just try. And the same thing goes for women. Like, you don't need to be a man to change a tyre or to do bike maintenance or anything like that. Because YouTube exists. Like, men aren't born knowing this stuff. They also have to learn. But people will teach them, and they'll teach them at a young age, and they will, like, they'll come from a place of assuming that they can do it, and that, as you know, they can learn it, and therefore they can then do it. Whereas women, I think, a lot of the time come from a place of thinking that they can't learn it if it's this kind of like mechanical, and I'm really generalising obviously here, but I feel like we come from a different place and we approach things differently, and we don't approach things from, like, always from a stance of like, if it can be done, I can do it, like I can just work out how to do it, or I can learn how to do it, or whatever. But that is really what happens with bike maintenance and everything. You can just learn. Literally, the way I learned to do this is not by my parents, who were and are both athletes, like cycling, amateur cycling athletes. I didn't learn from them. I'm sure they tried to teach me at some point, but like I was having none of it. I didn't learn as a child. You know, you hear these stories about like, oh, I grew up like in my dad's workshop, and or my mum's like, I don't know, garage, and like just learn how to do all this stuff. Like, no, I did grow up in that environment, but I wasn't taking any of it in, like, at all. So, like, I consider myself a reasonable cyclist. It was the bike handling skills and the perseverance in difficult physical times that I took from my childhood, not how to change a tyre or do anything mechanically or anything like that. So, oh my god, it's so weird, right? I don't know if this happens to you, but like, it's so easy to lose the valve. It's only this big, and yet I'm still like staring at it like, where is the valve? I don't know where the valve is, I can't see it anywhere. Which is why you should have yellow valve caps. So you can just learn. So I learned how to change a tyre literally last year, and from GCN, I think it was. So Global Cycling Network, they're a YouTube channel, they're amazing. I watch a lot of GTN as well, which is Global Triathlon Network. Anyway, so they have a video, GCN, I'll link it somewhere. They have a video of literally how to change tyre, and I love them for it because it's just like, you can't assume that people know how to do it. Like, I've been cycling my entire life and I didn't know how to do it. And there's no shame in that. Like, if you've never had to do it, why would you know how to do it? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so I learned from them, and I literally sat out here in the garden and last summer, last July maybe, and learned how to change a tyre. And I think even the last time I did it, earlier this summer, I probably watched the same video before. Like, when I first did, I literally like paused it and then did different things. The second time I just watched it before and then was like, okay, yeah, I remember. Now I haven't watched it at all today because I do remember how to do it, which is a really nice position to be in. And that's really important, I think, because it feels really nice to not have to wait until my partner comes home, who has been cycling for just as long as I have, and also is not very puncture prone. But I just kind of assume that he can do it better than I can, which is silly because, again, like, there's no artistry here. Okay, let's remember the rotation. So I'm literally have to talk myself through it. So I'm like, okay, so my wheel goes in that way, into my bike. This is the tyre. So it goes in that way. Fine. Anyway, my point is that you can do anything you want to. You can just learn. And YouTube is a great place for learning how to do pretty much anything, as I've discovered. Okay, so what I was actually talking about was training. Yeah, so I'm going to train on flat trails because the triathlon run course, which is only 5 kilometres. Oh no, I haven't taken this off. Oh no, oh no. What are we calling this? A collar? I like a collar. Do a collar. The run course is only 5 kilometres and it is like off-road. It's not, it's around a field. It's not tarmac. I'm going to train flat trails. Bike, I'm going to sign up for some Zwift training plan. I really enjoy Zwift. I only got into that last winter, this winter, just gone, it's August. So, you know, winter 2021 to 2022, that winter. I got into it, bought a Wahoo Kicker turbo trainer from Facebook Marketplace, I think, or Gumtree or something. And then it came with everything because the guy had like bought it, I don't know, during lockdown and then realised that he wasn't going to use it that much, which is fair enough. And I think that happened to a lot of people. So if you want a turbo trainer, go secondhand because there are loads. So I did that and I signed up for Zwift. And my mum is obsessed with Zwift, so she gave me the full lowdown. Like, she loves it. It's so funny. And when you're on it, you can follow people and see what they've been doing. So I get a text from her, which is like, oh, I saw you did this race or whatever on Zwift. Hilarious. So yeah, it's good. But I really, really like it because, like, I'm basically quite a lazy person. And especially when it gets colder, like over winter and stuff, and autumn, or just it gets dark and wet on the roads and it's not very nice to cycle on. It's just so nice to go into your garage and go on Zwift. And like, this is the first house I've lived in as an adult, again, like the first house that I have rented that has a garage. So I'm very stoked about that. No, I tell a lie. The last place did as well, but it was completely separate. So you would have, like, I didn't have Zwift then, but you would have to have, like, kept the main garage door open. And it was on quite a busy road, so everyone would be able to look in and see you. But there was no power in that garage anyway, and no light. So you would literally have to do it only in daylight or with some kind of, like, battery-operated light. And you wouldn't be able to do it because Zwift requires power. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is, it's great. I love it. I can just come out here, go on Zwift for however long I want, and then immediately go and have a shower. And I don't have to, like, deal with traffic, deal with forgetting to charge my bike lights, anything like that. Yeah, anyway, I love it. It's great. So I'm going to do that. And I found myself getting noticeably stronger when I was training on Zwift in the winter. Like, it dramatically changed my cycling strength. which was really interesting to see because normally I never train consistently enough to see real like differences, to really notice how different my body feels after like a really intense sort of training period. So Zwift has got me into that, and running does to an extent, but I run all the time, so, but not, I don't know, I'm not making much sense. Anyway, with Zwift there's a noticeable difference, which is really nice. So I'm going to do that. Swimming is harder, really hard, because basically I live in a place that has an outdoor pool that's only open for a certain number of months per year, and they're obviously only summer months, so it actually closes in 2 months' time. No, 2 weeks' time. So it closes 3 weeks before the triathlon even happens. And like the triathlon swim, I can't remember how far it is now, maybe 16 lengths. So it's not super far, but it's still something worth training for and worth keeping up your swim fitness for. I don't really know how I'm going to be able to manage that. Like there is a pool, like I work from a co-working space sometimes, and there is a pool like really close to that, so I might go there on like lunch breaks or something. I don't know. Swimming I sort of feel sometimes just, it's my sacrificial sport. I don't know if any other triathletes have this. I guess like everyone has their weak sport and their strong sport, and then like maybe the other one is like in between. But like sometimes I feel like you have to have a sacrificial sport. And I think for me, swimming is kind of that, just because I don't have access to a pool often enough to train that much for swimming. And also like I suffer a bit with anxiety, less than I used to, but I still do. It's still just a reality. And I find pools quite a stressful environment if there are like lots of people in the lane. So the place where I swim here is good because the lanes are double width and it's really quiet, which is not great for them because they're struggling for money. And I'm doing some fundraising for them soon. But for my anxiety, it's great that it's quiet. I struggle a bit with that, but it's partly because like I'm already blind here. And like, I don't know, just not really being able to see what's going on around me and all that kind of stuff. I find it a bit stressful. And I think a lot of people probably find busy pools stressful. And I'm not the slowest swimmer by any stretch of the imagination, but if you have actual triathletes around you, I'm definitely not quick. I'm a slow triathlete swimmer. Swimming, sometimes I get to the pool and I see there's loads of people there and I'm just like, oh, I sort of wish I hadn't come, and I have to force myself in, and sometimes it can turn for the better and I'm in there and I enjoy myself and have a good like session, and sometimes I'm literally just like getting through it so I can leave without people being like, didn't she only just get in, why is she leaving? Like on bad days I will just do 20 lengths, which is not far enough. Like it's nice, it obviously gets the body moving and reminds your body that, you know, what swimming muscles exist, but it's not ideal. And then on good days I can swim a mile or, you know, whatever in the hour I have. So swimming is kind of my sacrificial sport, but I am gonna do a bit of swimming in between now and the triathlon. But I think I'm really gonna focus on bike and run, mainly bike, but also run, because I'm a good cyclist. I'm a fast cyclist as far as, you know, relatively to my other sports. Oh, this is hard. So I feel like that is a good place to, you know, if I can keep getting faster as a cyclist, then swimming's not so much of a problem. Like they say that you can't win a triathlon in the swim, but you can lose it? Or is it the other way around? I don't know. Anyway, the swim is quite short. It's not the main part of a triathlon. I don't know. I mean, obviously nothing is, but you know what I mean. Oh. I've just remembered I need a different through axle for Zwift. Cuckoo snap. It's so that this bit can go into the turbo trainer. The turbo trainer will sit on those points. And so I just race like that as well. Like I just have that on my bike because I'm not going to change the through axle every time I want to ride somewhere that's not on the turbo trainer. And it doesn't make a difference, it's just not as pretty. But yeah, hey. Well, it definitely could have taken me slightly less time than that, but hey ho. Now I have changed the tyres on my bike so I can get back onto Swift and start training for my triathlon. Yay! Thanks for watching. I hope this wasn't too mind-numbingly boring. Yeah. See you next time. Bye!